Okay, I think we are live. I hope so. All right. How do I know if this is working? Okay, someone's here. All right, good morning, whoever just joined us. I'm just getting set up. I was trying to set up my phone as a camera, and it's not working. So we shall do it the old-fashioned way with the webcam. So if you're here and you can hear me, let me know in the chat, I guess. Can you hear me? All right, Ann Gibson is here. Hello, Ann. You are my one viewer. So hello, Ann. It's morning where I am. In case you don't know, I'm in Shanghai, China. Where are you, and what time is it for you? So it's 9:30 in the morning for me. All right, Bookish is here. Hello, Bookish. Oh, I should get the chat on, shouldn't I? So I'm very distracted this morning. There's been a lot of horrible news coming out. It's 2:30 in the morning. Where are you? Are you in Europe or UK? Show comments on stage. Okay. Okay. We'll do that. Croatia. Oh, okay. Wow. All right. I would imagine you have a very cold winter there. Is that right? Southern Delaware. Okay. So you guys are gonna get some weather coming your way. Okay. Oh, we've got 6 people here. Oh, that's not bad. So cool. All right. If you're here and you want to say hello in the chat, please feel free to say hello to us. We're just kind of getting ready here. I was saying I'm having kind of a distracted morning because of a lot of the news coming out of the U.S. And I grew up in Minneapolis. I'm from Minnesota, where ICE is really taking things to the next level, and that's a bad thing. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this, but I think we'll do this for a little bit and see how it goes. We'll get a few more people in, and then we'll do a reading sprint. Let me find a Pomodoro timer. So I guess while we're waiting, let us know where you are. Let us know what you've been reading too, or what you plan to read today. I guess I'll go first. I can give a little recap. I just finished The Player of Games by Ian M. Banks. I just finished this yesterday. Took me a bit longer to get through it than I wanted to, but I got through it. I had thought about DNFing it a few times. I have some mixed thoughts about it. I might make a video about it. I'm not sure. So I just finished that. Where am I going to put this book? My desk is very small. You can't see, but my desk is very small. I think I'm going to try this today. Invisible Planets. This is a collection of science fiction short stories or short novellas from Chinese authors, contemporary Chinese authors. And it's translated by Ken Liu. I've never read anything by Ken Liu, but he seems to be the man when it comes to translating Chinese science fiction. Not sure how one gets that job. So Yeah, I've heard good things about this. Although it has some stories from Cixin Liu, who wrote The Three Body Problem, which I did not like. And interestingly enough, some Chinese friends who read science fiction also say that Cixin Liu is actually not, he's admired, but not as a good writer. He's admired as kind of like an idea person. So, but it's got some other Chinese authors in there that I've never heard of that I'm very curious to read about. So, let's see what people have said. Let's see if I can do this correct way. Okay, so, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. I don't know that one, but that's a good title. Bookish, what have you got? Decolonizing the Mind. Interesting. Could you please send several million copies to America? I think America needs that right now. Cool. All right. Oh, we're down to 6. Okay, so anyone else who's here and is going to read with us, please let us know in the chat what you're interested in reading. I need to find, yes, there's my timer. We'll wait a few more minutes, do a little bit more chatting. Oh, okay, interesting. Have I read 5 Decembers? I have not, but I know Matt from Books. I can never get the name of his channel right. Is it Books from the Back Porch or Books for the Back Porch? I'm not sure. But I know he's recently read it, and he said it was very, very good. I'm kind of taking a break from crime and noir for a while, and grit lit. I read that stuff for decades, and I just feel like I can't be interested in it anymore. So I'm just reading a lot of science fiction as kind of I've always liked science fiction, and now I just kind of really want to dedicate reading to it. Partially because I'm kind of become a lot more interested in sociological ideas and ideas about society and civilization and things like that. Also, too, just like the stark realism of grit lit and crime and noir sometimes is just too heavy, I find. So it's something that I've always read for periods of time and left, and then come back and forth with it. So I feel like I'm really rambling a lot right now. What else? What else are people asking? Have you read One Day Everyone Will Always Have Been Against This by Omar El-Akkad? No, I know of it though, and I feel like maybe it's time to read that and find out what other people are thinking about the state of the world, particularly America. I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about political beliefs and things like that, especially online, because people always come back and you always get some absolute jackass that has to go off on comments. So, yeah, just gonna leave it at that. So. Definitely read it. I must read. Okay, yeah, no, I'll check it out. I'm aware of it, and I think I've even read essays and commentary from Omar El-Akkad, but I've never read that. What do I say? Appreciate you. Do you have an education degree, or can anyone move abroad to teach English? I do. I do not have a bachelor's in education. My bachelor's is in writing, actually, believe it or not. Once upon a time, you could get a bachelor's in writing. I don't think you can do that anymore, and I wouldn't recommend it. No, but I do have teaching certificates and credentials. I'm not sure where you're from, SD Russ. I'm American, so in America, there are multiple pathways to becoming a teacher. The traditional pathway is to have a bachelor's in education and possibly even a master's, and then what we call a teaching license. If you're from the UK, there's a little bit of a different pathway, a little more stringent pathway. And I say that because in America, you can technically have a bachelor's in just about anything as long as you get a teaching credential or a teaching license, and then you can teach. So I wouldn't say that anyone can do it. I mean, when you say to teach English, what does that mean? I mean, I don't teach ESL. I don't teach ABC 1, 2, 3. I teach like normal English. I have a career here, but looking to get out. Well, okay, yeah, that I can completely sympathize with. Okay, so what I would recommend though is like if you're serious about it, take some time to ask yourself like, do you really want to be a teacher? Because it's not something to take lightly. You know, people's education, especially if you're educating people coming from other countries that are less developed than America and have fewer opportunities, you know, education is really the big thing that people need. If you're serious about it, I would recommend getting a teaching license. It only takes about 9 months to get it in the US. And once you've got that, you could teach in a variety of schools, and you would not just be teaching ESL. You wouldn't be teaching ABC 1, 2, 3. You would be teaching like a normal curriculum. So I teach a normal English curriculum. It's the same kind of curriculum that would be used in any decent school or even good school in America. So my students speak English already. I'm not teaching them to speak English, and I teach fourth grade. They're already fluent before they join our school. They come into our school at grade 1. So, and you know, we largely teach chapter books, short stories, and we use those as vehicles for learning different aspects of reading, developing vocabulary, developing your writing, stuff like that. So it's the same kind of thing that kids in America learn how to do. So that was probably more information than most people wanted. But SD Russ, if you're serious, you know, you can contact me and I can give you maybe some more insight and some more details. Think carefully about it though, because it's a big choice to make. Not saying, I'm not trying to discourage you, but things are definitely different now than when I first went abroad. I first went abroad in 2007. So everything is different. And COVID has really been a big driving factor in all that change. Okay, I can see we're losing people. So it's probably time for me to stop talking about teaching. And I think we're going to wait another 2 or 3 minutes. We'll go to 15 minutes and then we'll do a reading sprint. Yeah, what else is going on? What else are you guys reading? I'm really curious to know. Or like, you know, what are you guys doing too? Like for people in America, like how bad is this storm going to be, or is it already? I don't really know what's going on. It's quite cold here. I think it's cold everywhere in the world now. It seems like we're really having cold weather. So, but yeah, let us know what you're reading. These things are weird. It's just going live. I just like, I'm talking to people. I'd rather be talking with people, if that makes sense. So. What have we got here? Oh, you read Cambodian Book of the Dead. Oh, and Sorrow of War. Wow. Okay. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, Cambodian Book of the Dead. That is a pretty unique, really unique novel. Wow, I forgot I did a video on that. Oh, that's cool. Oh, so and Sorrow of War, 2 very different books. That's quite interesting. Which of those 2 did you like, or did you like them both? I'm also reading The Dawn of Everything. I don't know that. Is that nonfiction? That sounds like nonfiction. 12 to 18 inches of snow and half an inch of ice. Oh my gosh. Wow. I grew up in Minnesota, and I have to say, I do not miss that weather. That's weird. It snowed here. When did it snow? I think the day after Christmas. We had a little dusting of snow, and that was the first time it had snowed in Shanghai, I think, in like 5 years. So it was the first time I'd seen snow in close to 18 or 19 years. So uh, it's pretty amazing. What else? Star of War was interesting. Since I read the things that, yeah, a lot of people kind of think those books are kind of talking to each other or are different conversations on the same topic. So those are actually very, very interesting books to compare. So, which do you think is what do you think is better, the Sorrow of War or the things they carried? What do you have? The ice is the concern. Yeah, that would be it would be hard to argue against that. Also, another kind of ice in America is a major concern right now. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, I think it's time. We've got a pretty small crowd. There's only 5 people here, but that's okay. So let's do a sprint. Come on, Carl. Share screen. Okay, that's working. Okay, let's do a 20-minute sprint. I'm going to mute my mic and start the timer. If you're not going to read and you want to keep chatting, I'm just going to leave it open. You can say whatever you want, share whatever you want. Keep it decent. Maybe talk about books and talk about the weather. Two very Minnesotan things. So here we go. Okay, that was our first sprint there. Sorry, I lost track of time. I really got into that. Really got into that story there. So, did we get any new people? So if you just joined us, we just finished our first sprint. Maybe let us know what you're reading. Let us know where you are, what's going on. Did I miss anything in the chat? SD Russ. I like the things that carried more only because of the ideas it tackled about facts versus storytelling, which is more accurate. Yeah. I think, yeah, I don't know if I had to choose between the two, between Sorrow of War and the things they carried, which is better. I don't know. They're two very, very different books. It's hard to choose between the two, but the things they carried has some really powerful moments in it, especially that moment where he's been trying to cross the border over into Canada, and he spends about a week at that fishing resort with that old man, and they row. I don't think they row, but they ride in a boat, and the old man says, "You could swim ashore from here," and he chooses not to. Really powerful writing, really powerful writing. So interesting too that both of those books have the kind of central event in both those books is trying to retrieve bodies from flooded fields. I think that's an interesting coincidence. So anyways, enough about those books. Lit Wizard is here. Hello. I still don't know your name, so you're just the Lit Wizard. Halfway through. Oh, Harbinger of Justice by Andrew Watson. Oh, interesting. I have not read anything by him. He's got a really cool channel too. So that's interesting. Who else is here? Bob can read. Hello, Bob. Been seeing the streams. After the fact, finally cool to make one. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I tried to time it so that more people in the U.S. would possibly be available. I realize it's Saturday night, so hanging out with me online Saturday night is probably not a priority for a lot of people. So, but it is what it is, and maybe with the mega storm that is upon America, maybe there'll be more people online right now. So cool. Bob, let us know what you're reading, and let us know too. Are you in the path of the great storm of 2026? It's always seem to hear about. So cool. We'll take a couple of minutes here. If people want to get coffee, tea, use the bathroom, and then we'll do another sprint. I am going to briefly go off camera and grab my my pliers to hold my mic. So I'm not actually leaving. I'm still here. Please don't leave. Okay, here we are. There we go. Player mic is back. So what have we got? Oh, Last Night in Montreal. Oh yeah, she wrote Station 11, right? So cool. Interesting. Oh, and you're in Florida, so you're south of the storm. Cool. Bob, are you Florida man? I have to ask. I don't think you are, but I have to ask. St. Louis, Missouri. 8 p.m., 3 degrees, minus 16 Celsius. Whoa, that's cold. 4 inches of snow, and we expect 10 more. Oh my gosh. Wow. Especially St. Louis. You guys are not prepared for that kind of weather. Holy cow. Hope you keep your electricity, and I hope you got what you need. Yeah, it's, what can I say, SD Russ? It's amateur hour over here, in case you hadn't figured it out after what, 130 videos or however many I've made. It's absolute amateur hour. So, Bob, oh, you're from Indiana. Okay. So, well, is it a process? Is it, do you have to transition into Florida man? Is there like, is there like a time limit? Like you have to become Florida man within a certain period of time, otherwise you have to leave Florida? Is that is it a requirement? I'm curious how it goes. So I'm totally kidding. I know you're not. You're not Florida man. So Florida man's busy though. He really gets up to a lot. I gotta give him credit for that. So Lit Wizard. Oh, you're in Nova Scotia, right? 16 inches of snow. And another 8 on Friday next week. Holy cow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I was telling people earlier, like we had a little bit of snow the day after Christmas, and it was like a really big deal. Everyone was outside with their phones and their cameras and stuff taken. I was too. I took some photos and videos. I hadn't seen snow in like almost 20 years, like 18 or 19 years. So it was a pretty big deal. And I took my students, it was the middle of an English class, and I took my students outside to see the snow, much to the chagrin of my supervisors. But kids got to be kids, and the nice thing about being a teacher is you get to be a kid sometimes too. So there's that. I'm not privy to all of Florida man lore, to be honest. Okay, well, I don't think anyone can be. There's so much Florida man activity that now no one could truly know all of Florida man. So yeah. So anyone else who's joined us, feel free to let us know what you're reading, where you are, how is your winter going. I feel kind of lucky. I mean, Shanghai gets cold. We've had like 10 below Celsius a few times, but it always seems to warm up again. Although today is kind of overcast and gray. Yesterday was a really nice, warm, sunny day. So I definitely got out. I was outside all day yesterday. What is Bob here? Yes, yeah. Getting to be a kid is definitely one of the better perks of being a teacher. I teach grade 4, and I don't think I could teach high school because I see the high school kids and I'm just like, oh, you already hate your life. I don't need that. Nice thing about teaching, like between 9 and 11, I think is the, for me, is the sweet spot of teaching, because kids are still learning about the world and still excited about the world and excited to come to school and learn more. And they've still got like tons of energy, and they're not so shy and embarrassed and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely has its advantages. SD Russ, do you prefer the accomplishment reward of long books like Lonesome Dove, or being able to finish more great shorter books? Yeah, I have commitment problems. As you can tell, I am terminally single, so I have commitment problems, commitment issues with big books. But I am determined this year to commit to to some bigger books. Lonesome Dove, though, wow, that is a chunker. That's like I have Lonesome Dove on my shelf. I think it's like 900 pages. So I don't know. I need to try reading bigger books though. But I generally have always really loved like short stories and shorter novels. And I did a creative writing program when I was in university, and I really learned to appreciate the difficulty of writing shorter works and being able to really tell an effective story in less words is a definite skill. And I think like if you get into teaching English, particularly with writing, you see very early as kids develop their writing skills, it's hard to get your point across in less words, which is kind of weird. Like kids always tend to like write too much, and so you're not always, but usually kind of training them and teaching them to say it in less words. It's definitely it's an unintuitive thing. I think, as you can see, I'm rambling right now. We tend to just ramble on. So, um, short answer. I tend to shy away from bigger books, but I'm going to try to break that this year. So, Bob, fifth grade science and literature. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I teach science and English, which is basically lit. We teach lit and writing. But yeah, I teach grade 4, so that's cool. Good to know a kindred spirit out there. So we got some more people in, so I think we can do another sprint. Oh, there's one more question. Paul, man, do you live in an area with lots of expats around or a lot of locals? What do your neighbors think about you being an American? General, not political. Yeah. I do not. The area I live in, there are very few expats. So I say that I live in Shanghai, and technically I live in Shanghai, but I am 2 hours from the city of Shanghai, and that's about 100 kilometers. So there's a couple things to consider there. I'm going to go on I'm going to try and make this concise, like I just said I should with my students. China is absolutely massive, and the scale of everything in China eclipses anything I have ever experienced anywhere in the world. And I came to China from Bangkok, and before Bangkok, I was in Saigon. So I've kind of like retrained my brain for cities that are physically small but very dense with very high populations. Shanghai is very large and very spread out. It has an extremely high population, but the population density is very low. So the point of all that is, when you get out of the proper city, the population just drops off. And you always have this idea that China is very crowded because the population is so huge. It's not true at all. Yesterday I was in the downtown area in the older part of the city, which has a higher density of population. It's not as dense as like Vietnam and Bangkok or Hong Kong, like any even like Paris. I think Paris has a higher population density. There are not a lot of expats around. I choose to live very close to my school. I'm about a 10-minute walk from my school. Excuse me. There's maybe like 5 other expat teachers that live in my community, and that's it. We very rarely see each other. Once in a while, you bump into each other at a coffee shop or something like that. So, I very much live in a very Chinese area, very Chinese neighborhood. So it's a lot of locals. What do my neighbors think about me? I have no idea because I do not speak with them. My Chinese is extremely limited. I don't think they speak any English. They smile. I mean, they're nice. They're pleasant. No one ever hassles me. No one ever gives me any trouble. Within my apartment building, so I live in an apartment, I do occasionally like bump into people that can speak some English. People are pretty nice. They'll hold the door for you. When I first moved in here, I was having, just kind of trying to figure out like, how do I do this? Where do I put my recycling? Where does the garbage go? People are pretty intuitive and they can see like, oh, you need some help. Let me help you out. So, yeah, I mean, Chinese people are not like outgoing. They tend to be they keep to themselves and be kind of reserved in that sense, but they are also very polite, very helpful, and very friendly. I tutor some students in the evening after school, and their families are really, really nice to me. I think the thing with Chinese people is like once you get to know them, or once they kind of see that you're around, then they become very friendly and very warm. So it's pretty interesting. That was a big long ramble that didn't need to happen. So let's do some reading. That's interesting. It sounds, yeah, it's cool. No, I'm glad people are interested in that. We can talk more about that later, but I think we should do some reading. So let me get the timer up. There we go. So I'm going to mute my mic and start the timer, and we'll take a 20-minute reading sprint. Sorry, I completely lost track of time there. Hope you guys weren't waiting too long. Let me change the screen here. Okay. Wow. Okay. Sorry, I really got into that that story. All right. So that was another sprint there. I think there were some questions that came up here. I guess before I do that, I'll tell you what I'm reading. So in case, I don't know if you guys know, I started off Invisible Planets. This is a collection of contemporary Chinese science fiction. So short stories and novellas. This is translated by Ken Liu. I've never read anything by Ken Liu, but he seems to be the guy that translates Chinese science fiction. He translated the Three Body Problem series by Xixin Liu, which I did not care for. But I'm curious to read more of this. So I'm reading this short story right now. It's kind of a I can't quite tell what's going on. It's kind of a satire, parody, science fiction story. There's been like it's in the future, obviously, and there's been some kind of like great economic decline across the world, and rat meat is now highly sought after. And so the Chinese government, because China is kind of the workshop of the world, the government has now organized a rat hunting army branch of the army, basically. That and there's a draft, and there's a guy who gets drafted into it, and he's out with his little battalion hunting rats. So it sounds kind of preposterous, but it's actually a really good story. It's got some pretty interesting, pretty good commentary on modern society. So it's kind of a nice mix of like social commentary and science fiction. So some questions here. What have we got? Let me put that up. How easy is it to find books in English in bookstores or in the library? Very, very easy, with a couple of caveats. So it's very easy to find English language books. There are some very nice bookstores in Shanghai, but there's very few. And that is, I think, related more to just kind of the general state of economies across the world, like like shopping in the real world is kind of gone. It's almost all online. But it's very easy to find books. Like you can't really see, yeah, I guess you can kind of see almost every book on that shelf I have bought here in China. And almost all of them I've ordered online. There's a huge shopping platform called Taobao, which is kind of like Amazon, but kind of not like Amazon. It's just a platform. They don't do fulfillment. But there's tons of booksellers on there. So everything I buy here, I pretty much buy there, including all my books. So it's quite easy. Libraries too. Shanghai City has some very nice libraries, and they have very large English language sections as well. If you look on my Instagram, I think my Instagram might be private right now. I'm not sure. But I have a lot of photos of Shanghai Library on my Instagram, and they have a fantastic English language collection. And I always see books. I go there maybe 2-3 times a year. It's just a really nice place to hang out. The architecture there is really nice. I'm always surprised at the books that I can find there, both classic and contemporary. So, and like a lot of stuff that you'd think like, oh, there's no way you'd read that in China. And, there it is. So, Lit Wizard. Are there any authors you discovered living in China that you may not have come across otherwise? Yeah, definitely. Eileen Chang, who was born and lived in Shanghai for most of her life, and is a very famous Chinese novelist, but she wrote in English primarily during the 1930s and 40s. Very interesting books because it's a period of time I think that a lot of people don't know about, or I didn't know about, when China was kind of ungoverned between the decline of is it the Qing dynasty? I'm not sure. Between the decline of the last dynasty and then the Cultural Revolution, when they became consolidated under communism, China was largely ungoverned at that time. which is why Japan was so easily able to come in and wreak havoc and do all the horrible things they did in World War II. So Eileen Chong, definitely. There's another, I'm not good with the names. This guy I'm reading right now, Chen Chiu-fan, he's a contemporary, mostly science fiction, but I think he also writes some crime stories too, which are quite good. And he's also kind of a blogger. There's a lot of like blogging is really big right now in China, in English language also. I can't name names off the top of my head. You can find a lot of them on Substack. And then there's also a social media platform called Weibo, which you can get as part of WeChat. WeChat is like kind of like China's WhatsApp, but there's like kind of blogging, mini blogging is kind of part of it. So you can read a lot of stuff like that. There's an author of middle grade books. Oh, I can't remember her name now. She wrote Bronze and Sunflower, which is very good, actually, even though it's middle grade. It's very good. It's very like tragic story of a family that basically gets torn apart during the Cultural Revolution. Xixin Li, I think is the name. I'm not sure. There's quite a few. The woman who wrote Mother River, Kanshu. So yeah, there's been quite a few. I'm probably just rattling off names that, that no one can hear. Also, too, there's some writers who were, how can I say it, active during the Cultural Revolution and then were critical after the Cultural Revolution, who have chosen to leave China. One of them is, I can't remember, I'm really bad with the names. He wrote Soul Mountain and One Man's Bible. Fantastic books, all set in China and Hong Kong. So yeah, no, there's definitely, China is a very literary country, and surprisingly, English language publication, is not rare, and it's not just in translation. Like people here are smart and fluent, So, and like I've said, like a testament to that is like my students are not ESL students. When they come to my school, they're already fluent when they come in grade 1. So, English language is widely spoken, at least in the developed parts of China. So I feel like I'm really rambling here. Did you finish Player of Games? I did. I just finished it last night. I'm curious if you've read it. I have mixed feelings about it. Conceptually, I really liked it. There are some really cool and really interesting things in there, especially where he's describing this alien civilization that he goes to play this like master game at, which are very cool. The main character I really did not care for, and I'm generally okay with not liking main characters, but there was just something about him where I was just like, this guy is just annoying. I am not compelled to read his story. I was more interested in the kind of things happening in the background and wanted more of that. Also, there's a lot of stuff in it. Excuse me, I drank too much coffee. Like the culture, I'm curious to read more culture novels and figure out what that's all about. It's this kind of like post-capitalist, post-gender, kind of idealized human utopia, and I couldn't figure out, like, is he being satirical, or is this like, is he kind of like, is he serious? Is he kind of proposing this kind of world? It was interesting. I need to read more of it. Stylistically, I had a hard time with it. It's really dialogue heavy, which I'm not quite used to. I prefer more narrative and more exposition. So, but a really cool, overall, a really good book. And like I said, the concepts of it I really liked, and I like this idea of games within games within games, and that everything in the whole book really is just a giant game of people trying to play each other, and of societies playing games with people to further their agendas and things like that. That's really interesting. So, what have we got? Reading is a big part of my life, but sometimes I still get disinterested and don't want to read it all. Does it ever happen to you? How do you? Yeah, it does happen. Sometimes it just happens because of like work. Like as a teacher, like there's kind of a cycle. Beginning of term and end of term will always be more busy than you can anticipate, and you put in long hours and kind of exhausting days. And I'm not gonna lie, there's days I come home, I'm tired. I don't want to read. I just don't. Sometimes I just don't read much, or might just read a couple pages. There's other things to do. It's okay. There's no shame in it. And sometimes you just need to veg or just chill out. Sometimes there's family. I mean, there's all kinds of things like family pressures and stuff like that. So, how do I get back into it? I maybe I'm kind of fortunate, like living outside the US, I don't get distracted with TV or sports, things like that. I mean, I look back to like when before I left the US, like I watched a lot of baseball. I was a big baseball fan. I watched a lot of TV. HBO was, The Sopranos, The Wire, all that kind of stuff. That was a big part of like life, and like concerts. That's the thing I do miss. I do miss like going to concerts and uh, with music and stuff like that. So I guess one way to kind of get back into it is kind of train yourself to not have other distractions, but it's okay to do other things too. So, but I think one thing that helps get back into it is stuff like BookTube, and being part of other like bookish communities where people are just talking about books and you just hear about new things that interest you and then you just pick it up and read it. So, also for me too, like when I take like weekends and holidays, I really like reading. So that helps me kind of get back into those habits and stuff like that. It's just like, for me, like reading is something that I do. For a lot of people, reading is just something like you read a couple pages before you fall asleep, and that's okay, but it takes you 6 months to read a book, whereas for me, like, and I'm sure like a lot of people watching this or a lot of people here in the stream, like reading is like, you consider reading to be a hobby. Like it's something that I do my best to make time for it every day. So it becomes kind of like a routine. So that helps to get back into it. So I think also like if you develop reading projects, that align with your interests or your beliefs in other parts of your life, that can help as well to help keep you interested and keep you motivated with reading. So, what have we got? Bob. Oh, Banks is one of my all-time favorite authors. I love Player of Games. Yeah, I had heard that that's like the one to read. Oh, it's not your favorite culture novel. I disagree with those who say it's the best place to. Oh, interesting. So, what do you think is the better place to start with the culture novels? Because I had read that this is the one. Like, if you're only going to read one, I read that this is the one. But now I'm kind of wondering because it seems like this one, there was a lot of stuff I just didn't know that I felt like, oh, if I kind of understood what that was referring to or what that meant, it might have more meaning to me. So let me know which one should I read next. I'll definitely read more Ian Banks, because I know he's really like well respected, not just in science fiction. I think he also wrote he wrote some literary fiction and even some crime fiction, I think too. So let me know what you think. Criticisms, yeah, that's I think my main criticism is just like it's very dialogue heavy, which I generally don't like. I like it when the characters are like talking to each other. I don't like it when the characters are talking to move the narrative forward. I feel like that's kind of lazy writing, or what I think of as like TV writing, where you have to like, let's stop and explain what's happening for those of you who have not been watching. So but it's a stylistic choice too. So nothing wrong with that. So, if you've just joined us, let us know what you're reading. Let us know where you are. Are you part of Snowpocalypse 2026? Are you surviving? What's going on? So, yeah. I think we'll take another 2 minutes maybe, and then I think we'll do one more sprint, and then I'm gonna have to go because it's almost, yeah, it's almost 11 here. So I got some things I got to do. What do we have here? I'm a publication order kind of guy. Yeah, I know. Yeah, consider Phlebas is the first one. Kicks things off with an outsider's perspective of the culture. Oh, that could be interesting. Protagonist that hates the culture. All right, maybe I'll add that one to the list, because I have to say, like, the thing that I really liked the most about the Player of Games was the Azad Empire and how they were so different from the culture. I thought that was really, really fascinating. I wanted to know more about them and what was going on there. So pretty cool. Interesting. I'll have to look that up. So consider Phlebas. Okay. Or is it Phlebas or Phlebas? I'm not sure. The one thing the names in Player of Games were just over the top. I couldn't tell, like, is he being humorous about humans and naming things, or I couldn't figure out what that was all about. So, because some of the names are like 6 or 9 words long. It's very almost kind of hilarious. So I actually get super bored with action scenes and descriptions, so I like well-written dialogue. Yeah, I mean, everybody likes well-written dialogue. I just think, like, I prefer it when the dialogue is real, like the way people really talk, and how I think I get this more from literary fiction, how we don't really say what we mean. We tend to talk around things, and there's a lot of inference, and we imply a lot with our language, and I prefer that when it comes to character dialogue. But it's just a preference. I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's purely subjective. The names never get easier. If anything, they get worse. Okay, interesting. That's funny. So, all right, I'll consider. But if you consider Phlebas is the first, then maybe the names are a little more achievable. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the road that's a classic example of, like, characters never expressing what is truly in their heart or in their minds, and just, like, you don't want to say how you really the situations in that book too, like, they couldn't, particularly the father could never say what he was really thinking, otherwise the son would have given up. So yeah, I'm not a huge Cormac McCarthy fan, especially now that we kind of know, what he was up to in his free time. But The Road is definitely a great book. So okay, I think we'll take one more minute unless anyone else has questions or anything they want to chat about. Dialogue in general tends to be pretty fantastic. Yeah, yeah, not a huge McCarthy fan, but yeah, he definitely has nailed dialogue, I think, especially a very, like, I guess what I think of as, like, a very kind of American way of just not communicating while communicating, if you know what I mean. So yeah. Ugh, I need to get a better setup. I'm really, like, hunched over here. So somebody joined us, Swift Hollow. All right, well, welcome. I think we'll do one more sprint in a minute. Let us know what you're reading. Let us know where you are. Excuse me. Fan of his work, not the slime ball. Yeah. Excuse me. That's a different discussion of, like, excuse me. That's kind of a different discussion of, like, how and can we separate the art from the artist. So excuse me. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Ngugiwa Tiango. I'm really sorry about that. Wrote one of his novels on toilet paper while in prison. Wow. For staging a community center play in Gikuyu, which criticized colonialism. Okay. It's a book about colonialism writing. Yeah. Okay. That's dedication right there. Yeah, I knew some Vietnamese political prisoners who were imprisoned um, by the Vietnamese government. Mostly they were Buddhist monks, and they had organized against the government, the government after the American War, and they did similar things where they would like write on scraps of paper, and they would like tear up their shirts and write on those things and things like that. So, pretty interesting. I'd have to I have to look him up. I don't know him. Appreciate you. Do this kind of thing more often. You're my favorite booktuber. All right, cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Always good to know. Ultramarine. Oh, that's a book that I keep meaning to read. I've got to get that. I got to get that. How is that? Are you liking it? Let us know how Ultramarine is. That's what I read about in these sprints. Okay, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but that's cool. Yeah, another yeah. How is Ultramarine? Yeah, I hear really good stuff about that. It looks fascinating. Um, I'm not buying books right now, and I'm not sure how much longer I can hold out for not buying books. But that's definitely at the top of my to buy list or to find from the library. I need to shift back to using Libby more. My previous message. Oh, okay. Sorry about colonialism writing. Yep, gotcha. Only a chapter in. Writing is very good so far. Yeah, I've seen it's a short book, but I like short books. So it looks really cool. The premise of it looks very, very interesting. So, I think we're, excuse me, I think we'll do one more, and then I need to do laundry and cook lunch and call my mom and all that kind of stuff. So, let's do one more sprint. I'm going to mute my mic and start the timer, and then I'll see you guys back in 20 minutes. Okay, we're back. So that was the end of another sprint, and I finished the first story in here, and it's really, really good. I need to read more of this, and I need to read more of this writer. So yeah, I finished the first story in this collection, Invisible Planets. It's called The Year of the Rat, and wow. I've read one other story by this author. It's Chen Qiufan, and I've read an essay of his too. He's kind of one of the hot new Chinese science fiction writers. I think he's better than Xixin Liu, and Xixin Liu has actually praised him. Xixin Liu wrote The Three Body Problem, which is quite famous, quite well known, and quite dry. It's not an easy read, but this was really good. It's a really interesting mix of kind of like cyberpunk and Philip K. Dick weirdness. And it has some really like surprising like twists in it, and it becomes like hyper violent at certain points. Very, very interesting. And within all of that, a lot of commentary on global economics and kind of the divisions in societies and things like that. So it's quite interesting. Really, really good read. There was some things here. Oops, sorry. Make a video about using Libby. Yeah, I actually need to get better at using Libby. Once I kind of master it, then I'll definitely do that. And I think I'll make a video about like if you want to move abroad or if you're living outside the US, how do you get books, that kind of thing. Year of the Rat is a thing in Chinese horoscope. Yeah, every year is named after one of the 12 animals that attended the Buddha's first teaching, I guess, or sermon, whatever. I'm not sure what the right word is, but yeah. We are now entering the Year of the Horse, actually, which hopefully is a good thing. Year of the Horse is supposed to be a year of strength and prosperity and solidarity, all the good things. So maybe it's on purpose. Yeah, it is on purpose actually, because like the characters do reference that it's the year of the rat and they're hunting rats, and it turns out that these are rats that were somehow genetically engineered to test some kind of strange DNA jumping override kind of thing. It's not exactly clear, but I don't want to give away the whole thing. It's really cool. It's a really good story, and the ending of it, has elements of like World War Z, where there's just like army of rats that swarm suddenly out from the earth and into the ocean and take over. But then I don't know how to. I don't want to give it away. Humans prevail. I guess I'll say that. So yeah, very good book. Very interesting. Before we sign off, I guess maybe let us know, how did you guys get on with some of your reading? So what have we got? Great hang, do this again. Yeah, I'll definitely do it again. Kind of hard to find the right time, but I'll definitely try to do another one of these coming soon. Started going here, so I'm going to go to the pub and be part of the community. Okay, I guess that's something to do when it snows. So let us know before I sign off, like, how did you guys get on with your reading? Anyone finish anything? Any major breakthroughs? Have you decided to DNF what you're reading? I'm a serial DNFer. I need to watch the Lit Wizards video on DNFing and see if we're on the same page with DNFing. That was a pun there. Yes, I hope you're laughing about that. Go to the pub. I'll leave that comment up. That's pretty funny. Go to the pub when it's raining or when it's snowing. That's a very British thing to do, I have to say. So finished the chapter and started the last chapter. Cool. Very cool. Yeah, I hope we made some good progress. I didn't count. Did we do 3 sprints or 4 sprints? We've been here for 2 hours, which is quite long. So, anyone else make any good progress or DNFing or starting new books or anything like that? Let us know too, like what are you going to do with the rest of your evening or your day? Bob, finish 2 chapters. Chapters are pretty short. Okay. I can't remember. What are you reading, Bob? I have to scroll back up. I can't find it. Bob, I forget what you're reading. Let us know what you're reading. So, maybe let us know too, like, is it snowing there? What are you going to do with the rest of your day? I live an incredibly boring and quiet life. So it's Sunday today, so I'm going to do some laundry. I'm going to clean. I'm going to call my mom. And last night in Montreal. That's it. Sorry, I forgot about that. And going to cook. I do like meal preps on Sundays. It's not an exciting life that I live. So I had a fun day yesterday, though. I went downtown, went to a couple museums and stuff. So yeah, it's okay to have a boring and quiet life. I don't worry about getting shot with pepper spray or thrown in a van and sent to a country I don't belong in. So I don't have to worry about those things, and I am happy for it. Station 11, Glass Hotel, Sea of Tranquility. I've heard Sea of Tranquility is good. I need to check that out. I'm obsessed with the way she writes. Okay, cool. I think I had tried to read Station 11 once, and I think it was during the pandemic, and I just, for some reason, couldn't focus on it. I'll have to check her out again. So, okay, well, I think I am going to sign off. Otherwise, I'll just ramble here all day. Excuse me. My throat is very dry. It's very dry right now. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to sign off. I want to say thanks. We didn't have a huge crowd, but it's a pretty fun crowd, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I want to say thank you for hanging around. I hope you got some good reading done. I know I certainly did. And we will do this again sooner than later. Okay? All right. Adios. Ni hao. Bye-bye. Whatever you want to say. So talk to you guys again soon.